3 days into NFL free agency. And I'll tell you who the biggest loser could be when it's all said and done. Someone who's not even in the league yet. But it could wind up being Shedeur Sanders, because he could wind up having that Aaron Rodgers-like fall into the early 20s because of how things have gone the first few days, right? You think about where things sit, the teams with the first 3 picks: the Titans, the Browns, the Giants. The Giants have tried to get Matthew Stafford. They're kicking the tires on potentially Russell Wilson. Doesn't mean they can't take a quarterback there, but they're looking elsewhere. The Steelers, right, may wind up getting Aaron Rodgers. Okay, take that out of the mix. But look at what these other teams have done. The Jets, they went out and got Justin Fields, right? The Raiders, they went out and got Geno Smith. This probably and likely takes them out of the mix for quarterbacks at 6 and 7, which is where the next spot would be. So now you have the first 3 picks with Abdul Carter going to go in the top 3. Travis Hunter's probably going to go in the top 3. And probably Cam Ward, who is separating himself from Shedeur Sanders now. Maybe he goes number 1. Maybe he goes number 2. But Cam Ward seems to be the apple of the eye of the Cleveland Browns. And the Titans are playing things really close to the vest right now. So whereas we thought about a month and a half ago, hey, first 2 picks are going to wind up being Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders in some kind of order. You have 3 teams that need quarterbacks at the top of the draft. It doesn't seem like that's how it's going. All right, when you hear Carter being a guy for the Tennessee Titans, a reason why he's the betting favorite, Hunter in the top 3, Cam Ward, the Giants hold the key to everything. Because if the Giants don't take Shedeur Sanders at 3, then you're going to see him fall all the way to the Saints at 9. And if the Saints don't take him at 9, then that gets all the way into the early 20s, where you're talking about the Steelers at 21 or maybe the Rams at 26. Like that, instead of, hey, there's 4, 5, 6 teams that Shedeur Sanders could go to, now suddenly it's, if the Giants don't take a quarterback, and it seems like they're moving away from that fact, the Giants do it, the Saints don't, I mean, what's going to happen? No one's going to trade up to get Shedeur. None of these teams need quarterbacks all the way through. I'm telling you, all the teams that are going to need quarterbacks that could potentially draft one in the first round up until pick 26. And since the Jets and the Raiders are out of that mix at 6 and 7, it goes Giants, Saints, and then Steelers at 21. You could see a Shedeur Sanders fall that far in the NFL draft.
Potential is certainly there. It's still just the question for the Giants. If you're looking at the bridge guy, right? Because if you're looking at one of these veteran guys, you're not looking for a long term. So it's still a placeholder. So why would you not still draft your guy of the future?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at that even with the Raiders. Yeah, you brought in Geno Smith, but it's not like you paid him massive amounts of money, at a long-term deal. Jets, Justin Fields. It's a 2-year deal.
Yeah, but you still paid him for 2 years. He's going to be your quarterback. The Raiders still went and got Geno Smith, and so at 6 and 7, when it's not a great draft for quarterbacks anyway, and even for the Giants at 3, they might think, well, we'd rather have Travis Hunter at 3 and Kyle McCord or Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe at 35.
Certainly those
right?
those second-round guys.
Suddenly that becomes the strategy and the philosophy. Okay, we could get Shedeur Sanders, but is Shedeur Sanders that much better than these other guys? And what we're hearing is that, hey, there's not that much separation. He certainly didn't do himself any favors at the Combine. Whether you like what he said or not, I have no problem with it, but I understand where teams are going to be put off by it. You don't want to put teams off. You want to make sure everybody wants to draft you, right?
It's all a question of who the decision maker is in that room, right? Because you can have a room full of folks, and if the decision maker is the guy that took offense to him being brash, bold, whatever the line may be, that is getting fed in media circles, then yeah, that's a problem. But if he's one of the guys in the room, yeah, your opinion is noted. Overruled.
Well, or if that's the can opener to say we're going to pass on Shedeur Sanders, right? Like the can opener for the Vikings to say, "Hey, Sam Darnold, go out the door," was the last 2 games of the season. Ignoring everything else he did, let's concentrate on the last 2 games. Oh, we're really not sure we like Shedeur Sanders. We don't want to get up. We don't want to be part of a storyline or a big narrative about it. But hey, yeah, this could be something that turns teams off. Like, it doesn't turn me off. I like you want a quarterback with attitude. You want a guy that has that kind of, I'll turn this program around. I love that. But I get where some teams don't want to, and you want to make sure everybody wants you, not just a couple of teams.
Yeah, everybody wants him. But it's that notion of, the brashness, if that turns you off, fine. Going in, trying to parse out what's noise, what's real. When you looked at their, as we've talked about on the show a bunch, the strength of schedule and what they navigated this last year and where he is and where he fits in an NFL system, sure. You have that. You have Tennessee and the Giants were co-number ones, right? The odds who actually takes the number one pick. Right now, Cam Ward is the favorite. But we talked about the Titans GM when he talked about passing on a generational player. Was he referring to Abdul Carter as that guy? Perhaps looking at what Jalen Carter's done for Philly and the universal praise there now as he had drifted down to the Eagles a couple years ago. So all of that to say, we're trying to get through lying seasons still. And which teams may still try to put out there as much as they want that they want to back off it, which may just be a bunch of noise. Because in the end, quarterbacks win. They always win come draft day. Aaron Rodgers, when we cite those kind of instances, that's 20 years ago.